children, after reading the caption of the broadcast, please read the description as well, okay? Then like it, share the broadcast, the video, on all the platforms that you think people should watch this, right? Then, yeah, to invite your friends and your not so friendly friends, of course. So thank you if you have done that already. And there is also a quick reminder, by the way, and this one is for everyone as well, okay? So I have received, a bit of a report that some of us don't get a notification whenever Mayegun is live or put up any new video. So you may have to take a moment to check your notification on Mayegun's Diary Political. Just go next to that, you're subscribed sign also, and then you click on the notification and put the bell up, right? That once Mayegun puts anything up, you will be notified. So, because some of us, we don't know what happened. YouTube algorithm, they say, now let's talk politics, their politics. Tinubu is described as a kind of a smart politician, of course, produced by the system, a corrupted system, so to say, but he's not alone. But in his own sort of like calibers or level or so, right? Tinubu is considered as very smart. He knows his way around the whole political thing. But unfortunately, when it comes to governance, right, it is pure zero, because you may give that to him, that in the midst of the crooked rogues and criminals that continue to be the options for the people, right, the worst of them still manage to maneuver the rest of them. And he is your president today. But what is the benefit of that if at the end of the day, your supposed power or government impoverished more and even killed more people that you probably want to work for? What is the benefit? That is the dilemma. I think the Tinubu and those around him are battling. But when it comes to those who are up against Tinubu himself, then now and even in the future, and all of the stories that surrounds Tinubu's character, like, here you get, it is still believed that Tinubu will still have his way. That means he will still maneuver the rigged system in his favor, no matter the number of those against him. But that's from me now, by the way, this is from me asking that, what is the benefit? If after doing all of that to gain power in that contraption, and the end goal is to destroy lives, or should I say the end result is to destroy lives, livelihoods, businesses, and at the same time give yourself a trophy for doing so well like they are doing right now. So what's the benefit of that power? I may not be able to probably answer that, because we are now in the world where sometimes where you think you are fighting for something that is right, it will shock you that you are alone. But for clarity, especially those of us who are interested, because it can be really, really exhausting, to actually really cope with the amount of information or the amount of things that some of us have absorbed, processed, and come to conclusion that Nigeria is cooked, Nigeria is roast, and only the people are likely going to free themselves. But that is also unlikely, or it's not looking so. Together, it can be very exhausting when you just be like, man, every day, it's almost the same thing. There is no green light. And as much as some will say, hey, but there must be something working elsewhere. What? So it can be exhausting. Like, we'll keep pushing, because sometimes when people don't understand the consequences of their, actions, inactions, decisions, indecisions, indifference, or even enablement, like enabling these rules, when people begin to, just maybe, when a stable number of people begin to understand the effect of the consequences of their actions and inaction and all of that, right? Maybe they'll begin to do the right thing, or maybe they will do the right thing. That's just the only sort of like, in a bit of a hope in all of this, because Nigeria is hopeless. Nigeria is helpless. But in the midst of all of that, we have like army of praise singers, ass lickers, crumb eaters, crumb chasers, all risers that are comfortable with the status quo as long as they can benefit from it. So it is so hard, but we'll keep showing them to you. So when they now come out like this, you see, another thing is that when people say, but there's nothing we can do, one of the things that has worked so well for these rogues in that contraption that made this whole thing lasted this long is that ignorance in the contraption, right, is systemic, and it is very much intentional. And that is why the highest sort of like, spreader of misinformation, gaslighting, lies, propaganda are those in power. When they tell the same people looking up to them lies, give them false hope, and continue to give them this false hope. And when they failed, which they normally fail, right? When they failed, they blame them. So maybe when the people realize how they are being used, or how they allow themselves to be used, I will begin to cut down the number of those army of enablers, right? Just maybe. I'm using maybe because I personally don't see any hope on the horizon. I do not want to be the bearer of that bad news, but I'm just a realist. Happenings in Nigeria, there are people who pay attention to them. There are people who sort of like see where things would end. All right. And if you are among those people, you will be worried. All the wrong things that majority of you today barely reacts to in the past, you are mostly livid, angry. Today, most of them have been they have become normalized by these rogues, and people are paying the prices for that. So when they fight themselves, it is an opportunity at the same time, maybe, for people to see through the people who put them through whatever they are going through right now. And at the same time, use the opportunity to do away with them or end them. It's going to be like I'm actually talking to the wall. Sometimes that's how it feels like. Because was it not, 2 years ago, the majority quite agreed that there shouldn't be any election in that contraption until some certain things are done. And what are those things? Some believe that, some said that the problem of that contraption that the system continued to pop up, criminals, looters, and what have you, as your leaders, is because you have a fraudulent corruption. It is the foundation of all of the compromised system that you have. So maybe if you can be bold enough to make a demand and say there must be a new, indeed, people's constitution. I don't know why people don't see that as a necessity. Since 1999 that they gave you that fraudulent constitution, right? That foisted this unitary corrupt system on you. Not that the former was better, not like, but this one imposed on you, Decree 24 for the military. They have patched it. It is like an uncompleted building, celebrated as a new building. But the occupants, the tenants, continue to patch here, patch there, they try to plaster the beam, and at the same time, cover the roof. And this is what they have been doing, patch to this your fake constitution. The same one that they could maneuver and all that, And that's the same one that somehow right now, is still going to be used to conduct your 2027. So it's going to be easier for people like us to predict what the end goal will be and how it's going to go based on what happened to them and what is happening now. Yeah, you can project what's going to happen next. But here is my own stand on Mayegun's diary political. Just before we get into all of this, is that if you have a system, impoverished majority, this majority are somehow like trapped in a loop, trying to do the same thing again and again, and somehow expecting a different result. Maybe, just maybe, again, I'm using maybe because I can't bank on this. Just maybe, right? At a point, right? You are going to say no to this circle. And what's that circle? Everyone knows your election is fraud. It is never really real, right? It is mostly war, if not all the time war. At the end of the day, it produces criminals who ended up, looting, pillaging the country. And the process is the same. Loot the country, bribe some people with food, clothes, what have you. Send some to Mecca and send some to Jerusalem. These are the bribes. And on the day of election, give them some money. And yeah, you are allowed to perpetuate your rigging. It is the system, Abi. Now, if you are not comfortable with that, go to court. If you go to court and the court says you still lost, right? Despite all evidence, then what are you going to do next? Nothing. That is the cycle. That is a cycle that these rogues have put in place. So at a point, maybe just at a point, you break that cycle by saying, no, you'll be rigged, of course. Fake result will be announced. They will tell you to go to court and you'll be like, no. That moment is the moment people like us believes it's going to be the moment of truth. And all the pretenses, all of the hypocrisy, all the tribalism, all of those things that they have used to keep you so divided, from that moment, it could just be like, say, in those Nollywood movies, that the charm just clear. And suddenly, everybody will realize that they have been practicing fake democracy. They have been lying to themselves for so long. That cycle is why somebody like me continue to, on the side, enable you who believes that you could challenge them. Not because I believe you can challenge them, but I am also like, what if you get to that, cycle, that point where you're like, you know what, yeah, everybody knows they will do this and that, then, people will just shout and nothing will happen, then something happens. Because I see that happening, right? I just don't know if it's going to be your 2027. Maybe it's going to be another lie you're going to put forward. Maybe you keep kicking the can down the road, but there's always going to be that moment of truth where everyone will stop lying to themselves about Nigeria. Right now, the political class, the elite that put you in this situation are pretending to want to take you out of the situation, right? Characters, right? The characters that are responsible for why you are where you are today and currently out of that same power, right? Want to take you out. So let's listen to them, right? Let's listen to them, because somehow they are the only people who have the resources to make somebody president or remove somebody as president. You and I don't have that resources. I mean, it could have been people's power if indeed you are practicing democracy, right? One man, one vote, and your vote counts. That's a very powerful thing to have. But you don't have that. They have the resources to manipulate you, bribe those ones who are going to physically be present, and then, bribe the judges too. So when they are fighting, or they are saying they are fighting, right? Don't really bank on it. Don't take sides, right? Just hear them out. Because in the process, that may also be your gateway, right? To handling the same system that almost everybody agrees, because it is that same system that creates every agitation you are witnessing in that contraption today. Okay? It is that system. Nigeria system created criminals who took Nigeria money and funding terrorism against Nigeria because of power, control, and whatever else that they are fighting for. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. Those who are responsible are still being called excellencies. They are still being called the distinguished this and that. You have DSS, you have SSS, you have all kinds of a secret service in Nigeria who can track people who say something about government, but they can't track terrorists and their sponsor for 12 years. It is that system that created that. It's, you know, you've become so used to it, like we have become so used to it. See, some powerful people are, you know, some powerful people are. There are some powerful people are dying. Lives are being destroyed. Families are being torn apart and the rest of that. But we just know that there are some people inside that place that cannot be touched. They are the sponsor. And we live with that. That's that system. The system where you have, you have a political figure who has his own army. And this army, they are armed with sophisticated weapons, but it is a taboo for private citizens to be licensed to defend themselves against the attackers who have become not only national terrorists, or international terrorists, Fulani terrorists and their co, right? It is that system, you know? I can go on and on and on and on and on. So when they say something, listen very carefully, because a lot of people just read about headlines, right? And they move on. You shouldn't, you know? That's my own effort. And that is why my platform is not that popular. It can be boring. You know what I mean? It can be boring. It's all talk. But it's not just talk. I talk, others talk. But do you know the people who should actually be benefiting most? Somebody who is listening. You listen to every word. You think about them. You link them up to this and that. Your subconsciousness is awake. Your mind is light. And even if you are angry, which you are going to be, then your anger is controlled. You direct it to where it is indeed needed. And in that moment, nothing, I say, and I repeat, right? Nothing can be used to distract you. Do you think I don't see those who say all this rubbish about the Yorubas online? Do you think I can just kind of like get emotional, right? And begin to kind of like, you know, talk about those? How dare you? Because they are irrelevant. Lives are at stake. Lives are at stake. So when you listen to Mayegun, you get to a stage whereby all those things will become frivolities. They can never take your time. They can't, or they shouldn't. You see that part? It can be boring. But if you can listen, not just to myself, listen to these guys, those in charge, those who are anticipating to be in charge, what they are saying, how empty and how ordinary. And at that point, you probably would understand that Nigeria problems have root causes, and the people behind that, they have names. They may be your favorite, and that is the part you shouldn't take side. You should not take side with those who have knives. And guess what? You are the menu on the table. You are the menu. We are the menu. When they loot money meant for education, children who are supposed to get educated, quality education, they will be denied that. When they take money meant for healthcare, right? Millions, young, old, sick, you know, they will be denied access to healthcare, right? And that money, right, is sort of like, you know, what happened to it anyway. So the money ended up being spent on non-productive things. So the moment you realize that on their table, there is no Hausa, there is no Yoruba, there is no Igbo, there is no Ibibio, there is no Anang, there is no Efik, Irobo Ijo, there is no Ijebu Egba, there is no Nope, there is no TV, Berom, Jukon. There is nothing like that on their menu, on their table. You are the menu, and everybody is holding the knife. So you should listen to them. Should. It's unfortunate that they have so much resources to spend on propaganda to keep people so divided. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. So those who have the opportunity of knowing better, listening to alternative opinions when it comes to the characters who make decisions that affect your lives, the lives of your children, the lives of your loved ones. You should listen. So Tinubu is there. He has all the power. He has all the clouds. And in fact, in that your 2027 charade, him being crushed will be blamed on him. Do you get what I mean? Nigeria is a funny place, right? Everybody will publicly tell you that they don't like corruption. Do you understand? But in the long run, if you go into politics and say, I have never stolen a kobo, about almost 99% of them won't believe you. No, they will just say, well, you've just not been caught. Because you are expected to steal. To fulfill all righteousness, you need to steal. So that when people hear how much you steal, they say, or more, 200 billion.